Welcome to RCS in 2021. I'm Nick.
I'm Dan.
Welcome to 2021.
And we are brought to you by Haggerty, Avance, Carter Subaru, Rainier Beer, and In Kind with America's Automotive Trust, and...
So excited.
Rio's
Garage.
Yes, the exclusive car care provider of Rain City Supercars.
Yeah.
We are very proud of that one and very excited for that one.
It could just stop raining now and I can wash my car.
Actually,
That's the problem, though. I washed it, and then I used the
ceramic 3-in-1,
3-in-1,
yep.
So I don't really need to wash it. But it, yeah.
I just keep hosing mine off.
Is it a problem when something works too well?
Kind of is a scenario.
Yeah, it's like I really want to be able to wash the, so.
Yeah, I just keep hosing mine off. This was way before the sponsorship, but I've been using that stuff since we got it from the Avance deal they did down there. I went down there for Avance, picked the bottle, I've been using it. I'm like, I don't have to wash my car anymore. I don't care as much as it's the truck, not the Porsche.
Sure.
But it's really nice to just hose off the car and be like, good enough.
I have an interesting story. So this weekend I decided that it was a good idea to take the Maserati and go head out to what's the tip out there? The tip of Washington. Nia Bay. And I didn't realize I was going to literally become #unpinned. Speaking of unpinned, actually that brings up, I want to say congratulations to our previous guest, Linnea. She got the pin out of her shoulder. So
yeah, she informed me she was going to take the stitches out herself because why spend another...
Why does that not surprise you?
Right? Not at all.
I told her, and I think that's where I came up with this. She's #unpinned. So
she went riding the next day.
Well, yeah, that's what she told me that she was hoping that the weather would be good enough so she could ride. She didn't even seem like she had a pin in her shoulder when she was here riding around the bar.
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
What type of mountain bike girl are you if you don't ride around a bar? So, but the Maserati decided to all of a sudden overheat.
What?
Big time. Went through the roof.
You didn't tell me this.
The last time, well, that's you left me for the holidays. I don't want to talk about it. To be with your family. No,
there was no GTR to hang out with.
Yeah,
this time.
I know exactly. So I did the most logical thing. I pulled over, and this was actually before I left, which was good, and opened the old coolant reservoir and saw nothing, nothing. Lots of air, lots of pressure, nothing. So I think I filled it up with water, and it's been good. And the car's not going to spend any time in like cold weather. I've already talked to my mechanic.
Okay.
So
I'm like, none of this sounds good, man.
And he said as long as I don't leave it outside in the cold, I'll be fine. But it's underground and stored away, but it's going to need a coolant flush. And
I'm so curious where all the coolant went.
Well, that's the interesting part, because where it's parked underground, there's no residue, there's nothing. Like, usually even if the cement sucks it up, but it's, I don't know. So it's gonna get a nice full.
So your Maserati is starting to act like a Maserati?
Yeah. Well, the best part was, so I call our good friend Shannon and Randy at Authentic Motor Cars, and Randy goes, well, I'd love to help you, but they shut the power off in my shop. And I go, what? And if you know Authentic Motor Cars and everything, they're cutting half their shop in half for the light rail to come through. So he's like, when I have power back, I'll be glad to work on your car. So,
the efficiency of our government.
Right. We're going to put a train here eventually. A train for all those people that want to go downtown. Those trains.
It'll be a great way to transport the drugs across the state. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So that
I have no opinions. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, these opinions do not reflect the views of Rain City Supercars or RCS. Yeah. So it was, but it was an absolute monsoon driving out there, but it was so gorgeous. We actually almost got all the way out there, and I really didn't realize this, and you may know this, that out there it's an Indian reservation.
Yeah.
Well, it's shut down right now. You can't come in unless you're a local because of COVID, which I totally get.
There's some history that says they should do that.
Yes. Well, the funny thing is it was me, and the only other guy on the road was somebody who had obviously just picked up his C63 AMG from Bellevue, Mercedes, because the two-door.
So it was broken down on the side of the road with you?
No, but you could tell that he was we were driving like 30 miles an hour and driving through like literal rivers, places neither one of these cars should have been. But you could tell, like, he hadn't tinted the windows yet, and you could tell when he was kind of picking paces up, because I was pushing him a little bit from behind.
You're like,
and you could see her in their driving seat, like hitting him, telling him to slow down. So it was rather funny, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, I've been in worse, up in the past when it's snowing with that car, so I trusted it. But yeah, overheating issues. Did you ever know it could do that, Dan?
I had no idea.
If you don't know that story, go back and listen to all our episodes about how Dan and I pretty pretty much met.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and in a weird change of event, I'm going to do the Carter Subaru tip of the week.
Okay.
And the Carter Subaru tip of the week is brought to you by Carter Subaru, but it's actually brought to you by my mom.
Yay, Mom.
Who, in all of her infinite wisdom and being a mom and worrying about me and worrying about you too, by the way, that was our gift. Decided for Christmas that she was going to buy me a GPS. And it's funny because she thought I knew, because I usually know. Most of the time I have to buy my own gift because I get it right. But she went out, my dad and her went out and decided to get me a GPS. And I thought, why do I need a GPS? And she's like, I'm like, I have it on my phone and all that. And she's like, no. She's like, I did some research. And my mom's really good at this.
Yeah.
And she got me one of the new Garmin GPSs that has built-in SOS and messaging and all this. So basically it works in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now, the one they got me was a little bit... It didn't really meet the requirements of us as far as, I mean, it was more about hiking and literally, like, every review I watched was like, you can message with this, you can text message. And I'm like, this is the last thing I want to do is text message people for $6 a message in the middle of nowhere. I really want that SOS feature.
Yeah. So if we're going to message anybody, it's going to be like, it's on fire, yo.
It's on fire. So that's kind of the tip of the day is to go out there and research. And we ended up with the Garmin 700i, and there's it's called the Garmin 700 Montana I. And the I is basically so that we can receive messages, we can SOS wherever the hell we're at. If you do text messages, people can text message you back. I mean, and the simplification of it is I could use that in my car to just drive around town too, but it will track our points. It'll be really easy. We're going to use it a lot this summer when we put on some new drives to be able to track and really take that data and send it out to our Rain City Supercars people. So
yep, we're doing a bit of a different approach on our rallies this year. We're doing a lot more off-road stuff, getting way out there.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing that we've talked about on the show before with Brandon Menpowell, is that having one of these is pretty much an essential piece once you get off the main fire roads, and we do. We like to see how far we can push our vehicles.
But, of all the things we've encouraged people to do, I've never thought about it. I was always like, yeah, we have our phones. And then half the time when we're up there, we're like, well, we know where we're going, but we don't. But so now we have this new device, which I have to get there is a subscription fee to be able to do some of it, the stuff as far as mark your trail.
Once, though. Huh? You need it once, though.
Yeah, and then the SOS feature is really good. So, it's sort of a thing on top of a thing as far as things we've talked about, but if you're really going to get into this, it's something you need to look into and really go into, like, and I will give a big shout out to REI because my parents bought the initial unit at REI, and I went in there and I talked to them, and they looked at me and they said, look, we don't sell this, but this is what you want.
That's cool.
And I mean, because the 700 Montana was initially built for people on motorcycles and back and stuff like that. And so it's really good for off-road, and as far as a bigger screen to have on your dash, it works really well with their weighted mounts and stuff. So I'm really excited to try it. Like, literally all I've done is use the GPS to get from my house to my mom's house, which I knew how to do, but I just set it up. So looking forward to that. But that's kind of your Carter Super tip of the day, is like, if you're going to go deep in the woods, start investing in one of these. Even the miniature ones, there's something that tracks you.
Yeah, the InReach little tiny mini ones are still, if you don't have a lot of budget and you need something, you're going to go out and play, especially by yourself.
Yeah, that's the eye of InReach that I forgot. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to go.
My first Carter Subaru tip of the week.
You did great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to get way out there, this is definitely something you should invest in. This is kind of a newer thing. I mean, I guess technically it's not. It's new to the mainstream. Let's just put it that way. Mountaineers and snowmobilers especially are really familiar with this stuff because it's essential when you're snowmobiling. You're insane to go out with that one if you're snowmobiling. But coming to the mainstream is kind of new with Garmin, so it's really cool to see these things out.
Well, I mean, initially Garmin was on the mount. I was one of the first people to come out with those dash-mounted GPSs, and they were huge. Yeah. And to be honest, some of the vision and some of the screens have never changed. Like the screen I had on my original Garmin back in the day,
320 by 200.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Below
you can get it in a Chrysler or a Maserati these days, actually. So yeah. It's a really good tool to have, and I'm looking forward to using it. Like I know our good friend Carl, he's got one that he uses in hiking and things like that, and tracks his points, and that way his wife can come find his body. His words, not mine. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I could have used one this past week. I went out to ventured across the country, then to Arizona.
Yeah, but the first part of that trip wasn't as fun as you were. Weren't you down a driver or something?
Down a driver. I thought we were going to have 3 drivers. We had 2. So my brother and I drove 28 hours straight, nonstop, back-to-back, slept, drive, and we made it to Nebraska.
In a minivan.
Yeah, with a trailer.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. In snow.
Okay.
So we normally would have made it farther, but being a minivan with a trailer and it's snow, we were pretty much stuck to the 60, 65 mile range.
I'm hearing excuses. Like, you're literally driving across the country with a guy that has a badge. Why are you stopping anywhere? So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we did that, and then I made it to Kansas City and flew to Arizona.
Okay. Kansas City. I thought you were going to Arkansas.
I was, but Kansas City is the closest airport on the way. Where he is in Arkansas, it's only regional, and I needed to go to Phoenix. So it was the difference between like a $600 flight or a $200 flight. And I was like, oh, Kansas City
it is. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, so I flew to Phoenix. I did a ton of hiking all around Arizona. We did a true, like, socially distant trip. Like, the appeal to a lot of people to go to Arizona is that things are still open. So I did go to 2 restaurants, but that was pretty much it. The rest of the time was
Tell us about it. What was it like? Were you inside? Were there napkins?
There were people, and they talked, and there was music.
Oh my gosh!
And like small businesses weren't dead. It was amazing.
No, that's not reality. Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool though. Just a ton of hiking all the way through it. I love it out there, man. It was sunshine.
Did you make it up to your favorite winery?
I did.
Okay. Did you take that same road we took?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
This in a new 4Runner though.
Oh.
Yeah, we had a new 4Runner as a rental car, which was great. I did use it off-road.
Did you?
I was forced to turn around before it got too interesting.
Did you? You were forced?
Yes, I was forced. I was told.
I'm assuming it's the other people in the car that were going, we're turning around.
Yes, yeah. I was overruled. I was like, but it's got a locker.
But we got the insurance, exactly. Right? Yeah.
It's like crawl control, locker. I mean, it doesn't have the best all-terrains, but it's dry here, so
if we break it, it's not ours. Yeah.
Some people wanted to live, whatever.
You went to Grand Canyon too.
That's the Grand Canyon, which was snowing.
Was it grand?
Yeah, semi-grand. I've been there enough times to know that it's like, once you've been there more than once, you're like, it's a big hole. Okay.
There's a famous YouTube video of some guys filming his wife at the Grand Canyon, and you just hear a guy behind him, I thought it'd be deeper. It's a roadhouse situation. I thought you'd be taller.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I prefer Canyonlands in Utah, which is the far northeast extension of the Grand Canyon. It's probably not as deep, but it's far more accessible because Utah. So yeah,
because
Utah's awesome for off-roading, and so it was really cool though. Like if you've never been there, it's one of the things you got to do once. But after the one time, you're kind of like, unless you're doing like the rafting or the river, I don't have that much appeal to go back. Because you're like, you walk around, and you're like, well, it's the same big hole. It's really pretty.
Oh, look, it's turning. Another left turn. Oh, it's the NASCAR of National Monuments. Got it.
Yeah, but I had some good wine, some good times, and I can't wait to go back. It was so nice to have actual sunshine for once.
Oh, how warm was it?
It wasn't that warm. It was like 30s at night and mid-60s during the day. Yeah, Of course, I left on Sunday. The next day was 70, and it's like mid-70s all week.
Well, yeah, because usually when we're down there in mid-January, it's somewhat nice.
Yeah, no, it was still wonderful.
Yeah,
so
good scooter riding weather.
Yeah, so I did talk to our good friend down there. I want to shout out. It didn't happen, but I have to say a huge thanks to Jared at McLaren Scottsdale.
Yeah.
I got a hold of him while I was down there. He got a hold of me, actually. He said, hey, you're in my town. He said, you should come for a drive. And, yeah, I know everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. I had so many plans during the week of actually hiking and doing things out that I didn't go take a McLaren for a drive. And
I don't even know you anymore.
Right? Yeah. I'm mad at myself a little bit, but we really genuinely didn't have the time. If there was any way I could have made that happen, I would have, but we did some actual work down there too. So
Jared has hooked you and I up before with McLarens. Initially when like the 570s
when they first came out. Yeah.
Yeah. And the road back to him had like all those like water ditches in it, so we had to take it really slow. But other than that, it was a great car.
Yeah. So I just want to say thanks to him for even offering. Like I couldn't make it happen, but that did mean a lot to me, and I really appreciate him reaching out. So
cool.
But yeah,
welcome back. Get back to work.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
I think the internet's broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what a horrible movie Wonder Woman 84 is? That's a different podcast, right? Okay, sorry. Okay.
Hands are going up in the air.
I know.
It was bad.
Everybody, this whole place, there's not a lot of us, but
it was bad.
It was awful.
Bad. The best part was the little photo she took in front of New York City with the little his previous secretary. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It was so bad.
The Mandalorian sucked in that movie.
Right?
Yeah, sorry.
It was just a giant
I know
cheese
we're not
fest.
that podcast, but don't watch it. Yeah.
If I had, if that was in the theater, I would have been pissed.
God, yes.
I would have been there and be like, this sucked. Like, I want my money back. It was terrible. I've seen better CGI in The Scorpion King.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
we watched it. Yeah, it happened.
Sorry, I don't know why. That was the worst of my holiday. I was like, why? And then I kept watching it. Like I thought, maybe it'll get better.
That's what we thought. We were like, it'll turn the page.
Yeah,
it'll turn the page.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
And then it ends, and you're like...
Then it ends, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, thank God it ended. So, yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. We'll take a little longer before we do our first break. We do have guests this week. We are broadcasting at the Outside Pub.
Yeah, I know. They keep talking.
Yeah. Again, we are not at Drivers Club again yet. Obviously, they're not open like anything else in the States, so we can't be there. We do miss them dearly.
We got delayed another week or something.
Yeah, another week, and then another week, and another week until everything's dead. But yeah.
We're going to Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're at the Outside Pub, and we are here with Bryce and Jordan Allen from Racer on Rails. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate both being here during this pandemic where we're all dying. Thanks.
People will understand this when they see your photos, but which one of you is which?
He's the tall one, and I'm the good-looking one.
Oh. I thought you were both the tall good-looking. Okay. So, yeah. Got it. Okay. We're going to let that little Easter egg sit. Thanks for taking time out of your busy Monday to come here and drink beer with us and have a wonderful time.
It was tough.
I know.
Yeah, no, it's a tough call, but
your sacrifice is appreciated.
yeah, no,
yeah,
it'll pay off.
So you guys have won 25 Hours with Thunder Hill. You've been in the industry for what, 15, 20 years now? I was reading.
Yeah, since 2005, I started at a place that had a race car team and got going on that, and been on it ever since.
Well, let's go back. I mean, was the cars always? We always used the analogy like were you the Hot Wheels kids and the
Totally.
Lego kids? Okay,
We had
Still are.
pedal sport coupes that we raced around. We
Sure.
had RC cars. We had matchboxes that we raced across the kitchen.
Tonka trucks.
Tonka trucks.
we always forget about the Tonka trucks.
I know.
Monster truck shows. Going to the drags when we were tiny kids. Like
Okay.
you name it, we were doing it.
So you grew up in an automotive family.
Yeah,
then.
Dad was a Porsche Club guy
Okay.
before we were born, and then all the way through.
Dad was a Porsche Club. Then his wife had twins, and he had to get rid of the Porsche.
Well, yeah, we rode home from the airport shotgun in a 914.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That is a tiny car to drive.
Right. So,
Just hold them both tightly. If we lose one, we're still good.
there's still one left. So
Yeah. Keep the roof on. Take the roof off. If one starts crying, throw it up.
just eject it.
Save you millions.
That one went up for sale shortly, and then he got a 912 after that.
So much more practical.
Well,
He achieved the dream.
We were small enough to fit in the back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Until the
back
first.
when you were small enough to fit in the back of a Porsche. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's the 3-month seat.
Right, I see.
So we had that for a while, and then he got a 78 911 SC when we were 6.
Oh, that's a nice car.
And he had that for 3 or 4 years, and then sold it and bought a 1994 Chevy Suburban.
Did you, as a kid, did you know your dad had a Porsche?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it amazes me the amount of kids that like grew up in cars, and it's like, no. This was like I grew up in a BMW family. Like I knew my dad drove a BMW. Like that was something. So.
Yeah, when there's a guard red 911 in the garage, you know what that's about.
Yeah. We playing it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Totally the best color at the time, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Still not a bad color.
No, still.
No, it was a great car. It was lowered down and had a turbo tail on it, and
Nice.
it was a cool car.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's pretty cool.
So
Tell
go
us-
ahead.
I was going to say, tell us about Racer on Rails. What is Racer on Rails?
Racer on Rails, we are a race shop. We kind of started off doing performance cars and racing. Racing is really what we're good at, what we love to do. And now there's enough people that are coming in and wanting to go just racing that we can kind of focus on just that. So we do race car builds, race car maintenance, preparation, storage, logistics, coaching, simulator, whatever you want to do.
Sweet.
If it's going fast and taking chances, then
I think that's when some people kind of lose in the fact that once you get the car on the track, that's when things are easy. Is when they're on the track.
Right.
It's the prep of the car, building the car, making sure the car is set up for the track. You don't just take a racetrack from one track to another and go, it's going to work fine. It'll be fine.
We went out last week and we saw another person bring a brand new car that they had just bought, and it ran like garbage all day and it looked like trash, and she ended up having an incident in it and this and that. And I looked at my customer and I go, if your car ever ran like that, I wouldn't bring it to the track. Like there's just no point in us coming out and struggling all day when we could be having
the
fun.
Purpose of how much fun you're having. Yeah.
So
Nobody's having fun beating their face against the wall trying to figure out dumb problems.
So that's what we master in is making the driver love driving. They don't have to do much else besides just drive.
And I mean, what are you building for a customer? I mean, is it anything, or I mean, if somebody comes to you, I mean, racers on a budget, and they want to build a race car, they have a race car, and they want your help.
Lemon's car. Our next door neighbor's got a little Lemon's car, and we loan them tools and parts all the time.
We do all the alignments and set up on it.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's super fun. Most of what we do is BMWs. That's a lot of what our background is from. It's basically just our wheelhouse. E30s, E46s, We spent the last 2 years working with Bimmer World on the SRO side of things on the M240s, and then this year on a M4 GT4. So
nice car.
Old to new. We know about them. We know how to race them. We know what it takes to keep them running.
When I started at, I'm going to shout out strictly BMW because that's where I started back in the day.
Yeah, good guys. Avant
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've known Andrew forever, and the guy at the tech office. The tech guys there are great. I learned their program and moved on from there, and it's.
Yeah, we went from being car enthusiasts to car junkies working there.
Yeah,
it's a quick thing to do.
Yeah, it was a cool place and really, really fun, nice people to work with.
Did you guys always want to work together?
No, actually, when the job, I worked parts and he was a tech, and when the job came up, I called him. I was like, so I got offered this job. What do you think? Is this something I don't want to step on your toes here? And he's like, yeah, okay. And that was 12 years ago, and we pretty much worked together ever since.
There we go. Okay. Excellent.
All right, let's take our first break. We come back, we'll learn more about you guys as individuals and how you got started with what you did. We'll be right back.
We spend an average of 8 hours and 41 minutes a day facing screens. Laptops, smartphones, tablets, even digital refrigerators. But what are we really connected to? Isn't it time you connected to something greater? Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect. This moment of escape was created by Hagerty for people who love cars.
And we're back. So obviously you guys apparently are related.
No, this guy started following me around since the mid-'80s.
It started looking like you?
Yeah, it's like this college paper, long-term college paper I've been working on.
So what was it like growing up in obviously a hardcore car family, at the exact same time? And were you guys constantly fighting over resources, or were you guys always just kind of partners in all this?
Not really. It was really kind of like a sporting competition, I guess you would call it.
Okay, yeah.
It was, you would see, I don't know, an IndyCar race or a NASCAR race on TV, and then you would go to the back room and you would play NASCAR or play IndyCar, the little Matchbox cars or something, talking cars out in the backyard, or the pedal cars, trying to race each other around the backyard. And when we got motorized vehicles, then we started breaking shit.
Yeah, bicycles and skis were a pretty good eye-opener for my dad.
Yeah.
There's a reason he is shorter than I am.
Yep.
Injuries?
Yeah, crashes specifically.
Yeah. I grew up with a built-in buffer.
You just used him.
Yeah, I go
a
first.
little bit less than that. Okay.
Yeah. He sees how it happens, adjusts accordingly.
I'm winning. Yeah. I'm walking.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your first car?
My first car was a 1982 Volvo 242 two-door GLT, so it was a turbo look, non-turbo.
Okay.
4-speed with overdrive. Unbelievable car.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, the amount of e-brake slides, J-turns, Rockfords, going too fast, pulling into parking lots, all four wheels locked up, Ace Ventura, 180 J-turn park on the curb like a glove.
I don't think there's anything harder on a car than a Rockford, even a well-performed, perfect one. That is when you basically spin the car backwards. Yeah. You're going really fast. You J-turn, you flip it around backwards, and you full throttle drop the clutch going the other way. So it's like if you want to blow up a car, that's a great way to do it. It looks really cool when you get it right.
Yeah, when you get it right, and there's smoke coming off the back, it's.
What do you mean you weren't in reverse? Yeah.
But that was first car. It probably saved my life being the way it was, 100 horsepower, and I would say it had good dynamics, but not great handling.
Yeah. There's a lot of weight to throw around.
Yeah. You just kind of heave it, and it would do something, and then it would run out of power, and it would straighten itself out, and you just kind of keep going.
Yeah, back then Volvos were bulletproof too.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
My first car was a '83 Volkswagen Gti.
Yeah.
Which is almost like
that's a great car.
The complete opposite of that Volvo.
Yeah.
Tin box and front wheel drive.
Put it inside that Volvo.
Yeah.
Hot hatch. Yeah.
Yeah. Dad watched us take off one day to school in the snow in the Volkswagen, and my left shoulder was touching his right shoulder. And he's like, "Oh no,
that car's too small.
It's too small for these guys." So.
Why did I have two of these?
Yeah.
That's such a great car, though, that little GTI.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. We learned it. We went autocrossing in that thing, and we had a flat tire in it one time, and pulled the jack out of the back, and it was one big ball of rust.
Rust ball.
Yeah,
like solid.
There was water and the jack in there since like '84.
Yeah, because the trunk seals on those were notorious for going bad, and all that would just kind of trickle down into the spare tire well.
And I had the hatch was bad, so like it was rusty, so I ended up getting another hatch from a buddy. It was just black hatch. But I don't know how well that sealed.
So literally you just had somebody pick up the back end.
Oh, the two of us.
Oh, yeah, we just picked
the two of us picked it up.
Threw the jack stand under there. And
that works.
Yeah, it worked fine. Yeah, it was great.
I remember a buddy of mine, Brian, we blew a motor on his one night, went to Campbell Nelson, picked up a new one for $300, put it in, and drove it the next morning.
Yeah.
It was like literally just yarded out the motor one night, put a new one in. It was like, good to go.
I had a really big habit of doing a lot of burnouts in that thing. And I had, at some point, some of the axle bolts had backed out, and it sheared the rest of them. And I was like, oh, no. And I was like, oh, wait.
That's going to cost me tens of dollars.
No, I don't even know if it
not when you got a parts car. Exactly. Not when you got a parts car.
Yeah.
I think I had I pushed it like 3 blocks down to my buddy's house, and then we threw some extra bolts in, and it was good to go.
So many Volkswagen parts at that time crossed over that it was, man, I miss it because now those things are worth money if you get them built right. They're really coming back into fashion.
I had a Calypso green 90 GLI 16 valve.
Yeah.
And it's the car that got away. Like, it had a lot of a lot of miles and a lot of problems when I got rid of it. But if I knew what I knew now and still had it, it would be the coolest car.
Yeah, that 90 would still have the mechanical injection and all that. 16 valve overhead cam?
Correct. No, originally it would. Mine would not.
Oh, yeah. You switched to electronic.
I would definitely swap that out.
The good one would have it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, no, the good one would not. Yeah.
But yeah, it had the
K-Jetronic.
The K-Jet. And that broke a bunch. And
yeah. I remember those. The mechanical injection. You just if you want more, you just drilled the airbox. You took the bottom off. You just drilled a bunch of holes in it.
And the GTI. Just cut the bottom half of it off and throw a can in the panel and filter in. It's good.
I don't know why Volkswagens break. I also know why people put Porsche engines in it now. Jeez.
Good stuff.
So, I mean, you guys had your first cars, but what is the car, you were just talking about the car that kind of got away.
Yeah.
Was that your car that got away?
I would say that would be the car that I most miss, looking back. The car that really set things going for me was one of my first E36.
Okay.
It was a magical car. It was a bone stock, 2-owner, 325, 5-speed, 4-door. And
I still have the motor for that car.
David still has the car.
Oh. Okay.
Of course he does.
Fair enough.
That's David Wheaton, our previous guest. David.
So you have the motor and he has the car.
The motor's going in my A30 track car, which is like my
that's great
unicorn little deal. But
okay.
That's a great swap for an E30.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I already had another car, and then I was coming home from his house one night and smashed a deer out on 90. So we flat towed it through North Bend at like 45 miles an hour behind the Raptor, and North Bend cops were like, "Oh man, he's got to know what's up."
They didn't even do anything.
We're avoiding an accident, officer.
Right.
But so I liked my E36 so much that 4 years after I had to get rid of it, I crashed a chump car really badly and had to pay for it. That wasn't mine. So
okay.
That's racing.
That was the fourth one of those I didn't get to drive.
So
not bitter at all about that.
3 or 4 years later down the road,
one was his fault. So.
I have the identical car in the shop now. Just
sweet.
It's my little toy that I love, and it drives exactly the same as the old one, and it's awesome. E36 is my chassis of choice for just bombing around.
How about you?
I have an E30 that is I bought in 2006. I've had it as my track car daily driver ever since.
That's a bold statement. My track car and daily driver.
Oh,
yes, sir.
You should have seen the road trip you took to Montana with a roll cage, spare race tires in the back, and a trunk full of guns.
That's the most Montana trip ever.
It was the most Montana trip.
It was awesome.
Great.
I just don't even know what to say to that. It's like America should have been after that.
Yeah, right. It should have been a Camaro
car.
Yeah. Have you ever driven to Montana with a trunk full of guns and spare tires to race, son?
And we're like full, not like a couple, smashing them down so you can close the trunk space.
Great. Great. I think that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. If you're going to spend a week in Montana.
John Potter.
You got
Blues
busted for that.
Right?
Yeah, he got busted for that. Yeah. I was just going to say that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Look at all the weight he lost.
Right.
Yeah. He's playing the blues from prison. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, okay, so they're dream cars, but now, as you're kind of got your, I will say dream job in the fact that you're doing this.
Fully.
Is this is it?
This is
okay.
Yeah, sitting in high school and people are like, man, what do you want to do? I'm like, it'd be really cool someday to be like a race car guy. Like, that's all we do. That's all we do. That's all we do. This is like super cool. It's not a glamorous job. It's not a glorious job. You don't get paid super well, but if it's something that you're passionate about, you can't even beat it. Like the stuff you get to see and go do and the places and the events and the people, and it's awesome. We won some pretty cool races this year. We both got Indianapolis beer koozies.
Ooh.
Because we won the 8-hour race, the inaugural 8-hour race in the GT4 class this year.
They're cutting back on prizes these days, aren't they? Like, don't get me
no,
wrong.
we had to buy those ourselves.
Oh, okay, yeah. You were given the opportunity to buy them?
Yeah, somebody got a really cool trophy. It wasn't us.
I see.
No.
Yeah, well.
I still think you won.
It feels like we won.
Yeah.
So,
Well, honestly, getting having the BMW factory GT3 dude take the group picture of our stuff on the. Is that the Amber Alert again?
Yes.
Yeah. Amber Alert's going.
We're not giving her back. Leave us alone.
She's not here.
I've seen it 3 times now.
Yeah.
Little old lady on the freeway. Why do they always take the girl's name Amber? Yeah.
That's messed up. Anyway.
You think about it, though. It makes sense. Yeah.
But it was just, I mean, we've won, like you said, the 25 hours of Thunder Hill. We've won the Cascade 12-hour. We've won it when it's 8 hours. We've won it when it's 6 hours. We've won Ridge Enduros. We've won the Pacific Enduros. We won an
SRO race at Portland a couple of years ago with the M4. Obviously all those crew guys, but it's a big part of.
Somebody's got to build the car.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's still a win.
Having done that for 2 or 3 years now, there's a lot of work that goes into a pro race weekend. It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
What? Who?
Let's look at that
definitely
for a
not.
Yeah.
So it's like on a pro race weekend, we'll fly in. Say we're doing the setup for the trailer, like the unload of the thing.
God bless you.
We're allowed to load in the trailer at say
11
o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever. So the trailer gets parked at 1. They can't open the gates until everybody's parked. So that's like 2:30. So basically from 2:30 until everybody's tired enough where they want to go get food and go to bed, which is like 9. Mm-hmm. We're setting up tents, setting up the scales, getting the cars out of the trailer, getting tires set up.
Making sure everything's clean and nice. And
getting the fuel drums delivered, getting old stuff taken out. And it's like, this is already after somebody's spent all the time prepping the cars and loading all the trailer and then driving it all the way out there. Like, and we've just set up.
Yeah. Now we're ready to like start a car.
So let's go back. I mean, the M4 that you guys won with.
Yeah.
Like, what did that come to you as a stock M4? Did it come to you as a race?
This is all through Bema World, through their SRO program.
Okay.
We were flying mechanics for them this year. The M4 was.
So I thought you guys prepped it and all that.
No, it was our baby. We took care of it at the track.
Okay.
But the Bema World guys prepped it at their shop.
Our guy Dave.
Well, that takes away all my questions on how you prepped that car.
We can still tell you.
It's
exactly the same as what we would do on any other car.
Okay. Tell us about
Talk
it,
about
actually. Yeah. Let's go through the prep of the car.
And go.
Yeah. So anytime we get a car back from an event, we like to inspect it, clean it, check everything out, shake everything, check every nut and bolt you can touch. We don't put a lot of paint pen stuff on our race cars. Kind of feel like that's cheating a little bit. A lot of guys that are doing track.
But it's pretty.
Well,
if we had a lot of employees, we'd start doing it.
Sure.
But if it's just us,
it's the least of the problem.
And the flip side too is a lot of track day guys where they're doing 4 or 5, 6 events before we see the car again. They get paint marks because they can go in and quickly check and this is not where it was.
That bolt turned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the race cars, we do it so often. Like even during the weekend, we're doing it. But so we get them back. Clean it, check the fluids, check the hours on everything, make sure we're not timing anything out fluid-wise, parts-wise, wheel bearings.
Wheel studs.
They probably check the coolant, Nick.
Somebody should.
I mean,
well, it's got a light, right?
Right. If it's not on the ground when we
No,
load
it
the
had
trailer,
a
should be
big
fine.
thing that the car started to shut down and said it was overheating. So yeah.
That's when you know it's low.
Yeah.
It's like a modern BMW with the electric water pump.
You know, not to insult myself, but when it first happened, I was like, oh, I got a problem. Like, it was the easiest thing to do to check it, and that was not the first thing I did. I was like, well, I got a problem.
Oh, man.
My 4Runner did that going this last summer. I was going, and I was in the left lane on the freeway, and I was going to pass somebody, and I boot it, and I just hear it knock. And I'm like, this car doesn't knock. And I looked down, and the temp gauge, like, almost all the way to the right. I was like, oh,
Oh.
That would explain it. All the way off to the side. But
But my first inclination was not to check the level. I was like, oh, there's a leak.
you don't want to check the level if it's hot.
It's this.
Yeah.
You've seen those guys on YouTube.
It's got one of them locking caps that blows the steam out and then it bounces off the box and hits you in the face. It's fine.
Oh, I seen a guy do that at Daytona on a test day.
Oh, fun.
Ouch.
Oh, man.
It's nice and warm down there, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on our team.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
Is he shorter than you now?
he was to begin with.
Oh,
But-
okay. Different guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he was talking about me. Oh, God.
No, we had ran into a situation where we had to put a motor in a car, and we were
That's a
trying
big
to,
situation.
Yeah, it sucked.
We bought
Parents easy in a Volkswagen.
we got the Camaro GSRs when they first came out, brand new.
Oh, yeah,
It's,
yeah, okay.
2010. Blew one up at Daytona.
It blew up.
You're right.
Yeah.
It blew up.
Nothing.
He who was driving it blew it up.
No.
Yeah, that's how it
No,
works.
it broke.
I mean,
Oh.
that's how it gets billed.
Right.
But so we asked the Riley guys. They're like, "What's the best way to get this motor out of the car?" Because
It's on jack stands in the garage at Daytona.
and we got an engine hoist. We're getting ready in the most North Carolinian accent you could. We ain't never taken one out the top before.
Fair enough.
We'll always put it on the lift and just lift the body off. That's not going to help us right now, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So $250,000 race car, and that's the kind of support you get out of it. And you're like, oh boy. So
We ain't never taken one out from the top before.
yeah. So the BMW customer racing program with the M4,
Yeah.
drastically better.
Yeah, those cats are awesome.
With the Germans, a little more efficient.
Germany
yeah.
fishing?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's guys going around and checking the cars and making sure that you have all the technical bulletin updates and updated parts. And I mean, you got to buy all the updated parts.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
They'll still make sure you have them.
Right.
And you're
Right.
probably required to have them.
yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
And
It is
the-
a homologated part, so
Yeah.
you have to have it.
Here's your part. Slide your card.
That came up a couple of times this year. Well, what we were doing, we had these, I don't know, some bushing thing that everybody took out of the car. But since we were running the Indy Intercontinental race, which is a global series, the SRO was like,
we got to put these back
you have
in.
to have those in.
So
So we're like, oh,
our pro
okay, where are
driver,
they?
I'll name him because he's impressive.
Yes.
Bill Alberlin.
Okay.
Was asking us before
Bill.
the 8 hour, because when he's like, well, when we put these things on the Turner cars, the arms just like you drop the thing and they don't move. He's like, so what are we doing about that? And I looked at him square in the face and I go, Bill, our team's better than that. And he goes, okay,
Okay.
all right, fine.
Fair enough.
Because the guys back at the shop at Benwell World had come up with a solution to make sure that the rod ends don't become too tight.
Even with the shims in it.
Oh,
Even
wow.
with the shims without having
Slop.
play in the rod end because
Yeah.
it's so they've mastered the just making that thing work the right way.
So the car showed up and you guys were the race day, the raceway mechanics,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Okay.
we're the weekend.
Basically, as
Race
soon as it gets
weekend.
unloaded off the trailer, it's now in our hands.
Does he who owns the car get to pick his mechanics? Like, did the driver bring you in, or
No,
okay.
the
Well,
guy
this
that
one-
funded our car on our situation didn't even know anything about the thing when we showed up at the first test. He knew who his co-driver was going to be, and he knew James Clay from Benwell World,
And he knew that BMW built the car.
and he knew that it was a brand new BMW.
He'd never driven it.
Never driven it.
He was
That sounds like a fun experience.
Yeah,
Even
he-
if you know nothing.
Testing and prod. That's what
yeah.
we call this.
He's an experienced driver. He's a big-time club racer, SCCA showroom stock champion, ran some Ferrari Challenge stuff, and then bought two Alpha TCR cars and ran with Reese for 2 years, and then wanted to bump up into the GT4s.
Dang, that's cool.
And that's how we kind of got hooked up with him. James Walker Jr., he runs a engineering company in Houston that does a lot of accident and crash data analysis for severe injury crashes and
Oh, okay.
stuff like that.
manufacturers.
Cool.
Really, really cool
Not people
stuff.
that crash. But,
Yeah, they're deciding if there's going to be a recall or not guy.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
basically,
okay.
yes.
Yes,
Got it. I
yes.
got you. Okay.
Is this
Yeah.
did the floor mat cause this acceleration
Right.
or did it not?
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of
What's
stuff.
his name? Character from Fight Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Edward
works.
Norton's character.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. To an intense degree.
Yeah.
But he's probably one of the top 5 nicest people I've ever met. And the first time we met, we were at dinner in Atlanta after the test day.
I was not there. This was
And he's like, oh, who is everybody? And I was like, oh, I'm just a mechanic. And he's like, you're not just a mechanic. You're my mechanic. And I was like, I like you, man.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
Okay, I'd like to re-answer that question.
Yeah.
I'm your mechanic.
I'm your mechanic.
I mean, I'm my mechanic. Wait, no.
yeah.
Our first weekend in Texas at the beginning of the year, he had a rough weekend. He got in his own head and just was.
He put so much pressure on himself to perform. It was his home race and all this stuff.
yeah.
And first time in the car for a race. And
Performance anxiety happens
Right,
to a lot of us.
the whole running joke was the thing is like, where's James? Like, we got to be ready for the race. And
Yeah,
the answer was he was in the bathroom and he was taking a leak, and his balaclava fell off his shoulder into the pisser, and he peed on his balaclava.
so he was rinsing it off
right before he got in the race car.
when he was supposed to be getting in the race car. Like we had to keep
Our driver's pissed, sort of.
we had to keep our pro driver out an extra lap because he just wasn't there. So.
Yeah.
But
poor
so
guy.
from that point on, that weekend on,
It was a tide turner. It was
he,
great after
he
that.
flipped the switch and figured stuff out.
Peed on less of his gear.
None of it. After
That'll help. That'll help.
It was such a running joke for the rest of the season. Though. It was great. Unlike he initiated most of it too. So,
Hey, could you pick up the pace? You're really pissing it out
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Okay, so somebody comes to you. Are you helping them? And they say, "I want to build a race car. I have some." Are you helping them find the initial car, or are they coming to you with the car?
Yes.
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 All the way.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
If somebody wants to just show up and be like, hey, I really love to go drive race cars. I know nothing about cars. I know nothing about racing. I know nothing about building
Oh,
cars.
please don't put that person in a race car. Or don't put that person in a street car.
You know what?
Yeah, honestly, if they're into
That's
bikes
what
or
worries
skiing or
me.
something like
Yeah.
that,
If they can
It'll
just
all
focus
transition pretty
on
okay.
just the driving,
Yeah.
they're going to be successful.
We've noticed that with a lot of our guests. They cross over into so many other sports, and they're usually the same sports.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
It's usually skiing, biking, motorcycles.
Yeah, stuff where you can go fast and get
Well,
hurt.
some of these
Yeah.
people are like amateurs, and then all of a sudden they get some money and they think that I can race a truck in Baja. Hypothetically, of course.
Hypothetically, of course.
Yeah. What do you mean, get out of your bar? Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
we can do that, or if somebody's an experienced racer and has a race car that they have had forever and they're just looking for something, looking for new fresh set of eyes, looking for some sort of performance difference than what they've been dealing with, we deal with that too.
You guys seem like you'd be very high touch. Like
Yeah.
I've seen some. I mean, and Dan and I knowing people and things like that. Not necessarily people we know, but it's just like, yeah, I race a car. What's your mechanic's name? I don't know. It's like,
it shows up, it's done. Thanks.
Yeah.
well, you didn't go to dinner with him and told him he was your mechanic. That's your problem. That's what I tell people now. Like, you got to be like, listen, bitch, I own you.
Honestly, most of our customers are that. You want to go to dinner? You are my
Yeah.
Yes.
But I would want that high touch. Like you
Yeah.
literally, no matter how good I race or don't race, my life is in your hand if the car's not set up
That's
right. Yeah.
that's the bottom line, and we don't take that lightly at all.
That's good.
right. My job is like basically to hold your hand and make sure you're comfortable all weekend. Not you suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
That's
driver
like,
coaches
do this
for that.
better.
We can
So,
get a driver coach.
I have
for
a
that.
funny story about this. I apologize to the listener who sent this in. It was an Avance member sent me an article, and a guy took a 720S to the track for a weekend. And yeah, right. So I mean, he's already balling. 'cause he's
I
taking,
don't think it came home.
No, it came home.
No.
No, it came home. This I forget who the driver was, but the dude's got a 720S. He's already got money to play with, all right. And so he's taking it to the track, so he's got plenty of it. So takes it out there with a mechanic. They're keeping it going through the whole track day, doing a 12-hour day, like an endurance run on this thing. They went through 6 rotors, 4 in the front, 2 in the rear.
Mhm.
You know how much rotors cost for McLaren? At 720 specifically? Take a guess. Remember,
It's gotta be 15,000 a rotor.
12,000 per rotor at
Yeah.
wholesale installed. Yeah,
2 sets.
2 sets in the front.
You know the guy that I think needs the most money is the guy that puts on a pair of gloves and grabs a hot rotor off a car. That guy.
Well, luckily they're carbon ceramic, but it's so
Still.
You know
they're
what?
still
It makes me
nuclear.
really happy to hear you say that.
so
I have a job for you. No.
No.
I just, it's really hot, and I don't want to right now.
yeah, so not including the cost of tires because he went through a couple sets of tires
So you're
too.
24,000, 48,000 in the front.
$72,000 worth of rotors.
Plus fuel.
Let's talk
gonna-
about
it's
let's
gonna
talk about
burn-
fuel at $14.50 a gallon for race fuel.
You're right.
At probably 22 gallons an hour.
Yeah.
So it's a $150,000 weekend.
Yeah.
At
Day.
least.
Yeah.
Day.
Day.
Not weekend.
Day.
Day. So if you guys wanted the cost of racing, I just wanted to put that out there for our listeners. It was just an insane fact. But he actually, I promise I will try and track down the list of what he did, but the itemized the weekend basically. And I was glad somebody did because most people, as much as I respect people that don't want to talk about the cost of money when it comes to things, they don't want to like it was not a bragging post.
Right.
And I feel in racing, though, that transparency helps people either get into it or not get into it.
Right. Well, he was like, this is why people switch to iron rotors. Because I would have gone through more, and it may have cost me a second or two. I admit I'm faster on this, but this is not a pro race team. And unless you have $150,000 to burn in a day,
okay, but
you're not into exotic racing.
Am I?
That's if things go right.
Go right, yeah.
I always play the ignorant side of this podcast. That seems excessive for a race day. Like, I feel really?
No.
We broke down.
Especially with the carbon stuff, because it doesn't wear with temperature the same as iron does.
You remember the 720, I mean, let's just put it, that is like the hyper end of fast. So
I understand.
It's quarter mile in 10 seconds stock.
Right. Carbon ceramic brakes are, they work great and they last for the day. But once they're used up in that day, they're done.
But to use 4 sets?
Yeah. Front,
Totally.
In a day?
In the Indy
if you're testing compounds or doing something, because you don't want to run the same rotor on a different pad compound because it's not going to give you your data.
I thought even with a tough day, you could. I would think like maybe 2 sets or something like that.
I think 12 hours though. 12 hours of
I understand.
All right. So on the M4, the front rotors time out about 8 hours.
Yeah.
And they're steel rotors.
Okay. They just kind of crack, and then they could go longer, but they're going to explode. So
Dan's Porsche ones just crack on the side. It's really cool looking.
Don't get me started. Actually, that was the thank God for COVID moment, because they would, anyway. They were, let's just say they weren't doing inspections.
I don't know if you guys have seen that, like a photo of Dan's rotor, like the side of the rotor just crumbled away.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
On a car that's barely driven.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, heat cycle. So that's James Walker, one of our guy, the drivers. He got his reputation in the business by helping develop Bosch ESP and ABS systems for.
And then I got hooked up with the guys from Stop Tech after that.
So he's like, when we started talking brake engineering type stuff, he's just like, rotor compounds and this and that and switching this and it was
carbon density of this.
This guy knows his stuff.
So I understand this is specific to the race, but what do you provide? Do you prefer carbon or steel?
I've never used carbon rotor.
There we go.
The guys that we've worked with that have used carbon rotors used them in like the late 2006 to 2012 range.
Back when they were cheaper.
And extra dusty.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's right. They had more dust back then.
And he's like, and we got helmets and stuff now, and 10 years ago they didn't, and you pop the wheel nut and the exhaust off the gun just hits the
because it usually blows straight out the front of the gun.
Yeah.
And then just poof, and you look like a coal miner.
Yeah.
And it's all carbon
fiber. That's good for the lungs.
Oh,
right.
And all the brake engineers swore up and down that it was fine for everybody.
You're built from carbon. It's fine. Inside of your lungs, you're supposed
to. You got to worry about the carbon part. You're okay. It's that fiber part you got to worry about.
Right. It's not fibrous when it's dust.
Yeah. I've met enough engineers
dustrous fibers,
and I've met enough engineers in my time to feel that I can respectfully disagree.
Fair enough.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
You ever had steel in your lung, boy?
The prison thing.
Basically, the service interval on steel stuff is just a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Just because its operating ranges are wider. Mm-hmm. That's basically it. So.
Yeah, it's the advantage is really the rotational mass.
Yeah,
but
correct.
At the same time, nobody runs carbons unless they've got literal pro factory support.
That's
it.
And I want the ones that glow at night, like the street glow ones.
They all do.
Oh, you can get steel ones to do that.
No problem.
Pads.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a thing? No.
I've done that before many times.
Yes. Yeah.
Last week?
Coming here on the Subaru? No.
The technology of carbon brakes now is unbelievable. Like, all the LMP cars are doing 24-hour races without brake changes.
And I think that's the part that's the stuff that gets out to me. And in my mind, I go, well, wait a minute. Why is he going through that many rotors? And I know those are professionals, and that's probably a totally different compound.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
The way the rotor's produced,
right, because an LMP2 car rotor and pad compound, if it's not at 400C,
not working.
You're not stopping.
Yeah, they don't work when they're cold. Yeah. And the street compound ones have to work when they're cold.
Yeah,
so totally different.
And a street compound at 400C is pretty much game over at that point. Like
exactly.
The torque curve is really falling off, and
it's that getting to 400C you got to wonder about. Yeah.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
I segued us a little bit there, but
that's
it's such a good thing.
No, I mean, that's
turn 2 braking and then 3A. That's that 400C.
Okay.
When you're coming down that 3A hill.
Oh, okay. Pacific.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's my point. Like, I'm so used to like hearing stats from the bigger manufacturer stuff, and that's why when you're putting that many rotors on them, going, oh, how is he just riding the brakes or like?
Well,
okay.
I mean, he's also the guy who did it is he's not a full-time pro driver. So yes, he probably is.
And a 720S is not a race car either.
Right.
It's probably 600-700 pounds heavier, and
the front tires are pretty skinny relatively compared to the rears.
245 stock.
Yeah, that's a pretty skinny tire for a fast car.
Yeah, GT3
really good for getting into a QFC parking lot.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, a GT3 car is going to have
305,
315s all the way around on it. So,
what's your favorite car you guys have worked on?
Oh man,
honestly, the M240s,
Okay.
the M240 Racing BMWs we worked on last year. It's basically just a club car that goes professionally fast.
That's cool.
Super easy. It's automatic transmission, power folding mirrors, power windows,
air conditioning,
heat and AC.
You don't need that.
No,
dude, it's so nice when you're sitting in
lap is
post-race tech. No, after the race,
Yeah.
when the top 5 get to go through post-race tech, and thankfully we got to go through post-race tech a lot this year. Tech guys are awesome.
Yeah.
First world problem.
So, like the M4
Damn, we
and the
got
240s, they have air conditioning in the thing. So when you're sitting there, you're like, oh man. Just click on the AC, just sitting in the car,
90
just leave it
degrees.
running.
And you're at VIR and it's 97 degrees and 97 humidity, and you got a mask on, and you're like, God, what can I do to get out of this? And you're like, I'll drive the car.
I'm gonna go get the car.
I'm gonna go check the tech scales.
Yeah.
The M4's got an air conditioned seat.
Yeah.
So it's got a vented seat.
I'm gonna check the specs on the girders.
Yeah.
Rotary girder looks good.
But the cars are amazing. The M240s with the automatic transmission. Somebody's like, hey man, can you go move the car? And you're like, yeah. And you just get in, hit the start button like any other BMW, and put the thing
key
in drive.
Because the key's got to be there.
And you just roll away.
That's
There's no clutch dumping or clutch jerking or pickups, or you just roll away.
All right, we're going to get off of racing a little bit here, but we're going to need some opinions because it's a dark area with the BMW guys. Let's talk about this crossover with the Supra.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Honestly,
I love it.
Do you?
I love the Supra.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, we actually got one coming in the shop tomorrow to do a
There's
setup
just
on
a lot
it,
of people that like. It's interesting because I've seen the inside of the actual Supras, and you go, yeah, this is a BMW.
Yeah, it's totally easy.
Like you get in there and you go, this is not a Toyota, this is a BMW. Yeah.
And I'm not at all like a brand purist. Like I'm the kind of guy that would be fine calling that Mustang Fox body with an LS motor in it awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's cool.
Yeah.
I would do.
So you have some wrong opinions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
Right? I mean,
If it got the louvers, because if it's got the louvers, I'm in.
Louvers are good.
Yeah.
our whole thing is like we're just like equal opportunity enablers. So.
Yeah.
Enablers.
Yeah.
That's better. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We used to tell people like if the thing's awesome coming in, or if it's going to be awesome coming out, then we're into it. Then we're
You
into
don't
it.
care what it is. Yeah.
I just wish it was a different name. That's it. That's my only problem with the car. I'm glad it's out there. I love the car. I think it looks okay. I have no problem with it, but I just wish the Supra was a different car.
Honestly?
That's it. I wish it was a Celica GT or something.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
That's it.
It's the size of a Celica.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's really small.
It's what the BRZ should have been.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
300 and something horsepower. Like it should be a real car, not a Miata.
Yeah, I don't want to throw any shade at BRZ drivers, but the couple that I've driven recently have been pretty underwhelming.
No, it's a
as
great
far as a racer
little runaround
goes.
car, and
When
I love those
when they're not running
Right.
at a stance on 3
Yeah.
inches of tire, I'm
Right.
fine with it.
Yeah.
So
No, I like the car for what it is, but you're right. That car is very underpowered. It's my
Super
only-
underpowered.
Yeah.
Like even my old 325, when I get into it, I'm like, yeah. And you get into the Subaru, and you're like, okay, all right, now it's
eventually.
okay. The shift light's blinking. Okay, all right, next gear. All right, okay, all right.
No, I think I'm with you, Dan. Like, and I think it's a visual thing. Like when I look at the new Supra, usually when I look at a car, especially when it comes like when the Challenger came out, like I could see the retro. Like I look at the Supra and I go, it's too small. Like it should be wider and it should be longer and there should be a huge whale tail. And
That's almost why I like it though, because it's like back to a real sports car.
But I'm saying
No, I think it's a
it
great
doesn't
car.
remind me of a Supra. Like Dan says,
Yeah,
it should
right.
be a Celica.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
great car. I just
Yeah.
didn't want it to be a Supra. I wanted it to be something not a Supra, and the Supra to be something more like a GTR competitor. That's what I wanted.
When they brought the GT4 version to the Indy race, we got to check it out. They just had it out. They're like, "Oh, yeah, you want to sit in it? Pop the hood."
Yeah, they're trying to sell them.
But that's
So-
wide. That car's wider, right?
No,
It's
like
factory
240.
fenders.
Okay.
So
yeah.
the M4 is wider, longer, lower. The engines are different, but the transmissions, the differentials, and most of the suspension are pretty much the same.
And it's all almost the same as the road car.
Oh, cool.
The light BMW drivetrain.
It's basically a M240 motor with a tune.
That's what made me think of it when you were talking about it. I was like, that a lot like the Supra.
I popped the hood and I was like, that looks familiar. That's great.
I can work on that.
Yeah, I think
I already have all the special tools.
Plastic,
right? Yeah, I already no, there's no plastic in the race cars. I take that back. In the 240s, we run the little beauty cover because they were supposed to.
Well, yeah. It has to look aesthetic as it hits the wall. Yeah.
Right. Oh, which we did that too.
Oh, man, I almost got hit.
Stop doing that.
I got hit with parts this year.
Sorry?
I got hit with car parts this year. Yeah. Our guy crashed so bad. At Wisconsin, we were calling. It's little stuff, plastics.
Headlight pieces.
People throw parts at you a lot?
Yeah.
It could be an attitude issue.
We were trying to talk him into winning, and he decided he wanted to fence it instead.
Oh, okay.
No, he was coming up to the green flag, and he had a really good run and was coming up on the inside wall side if you're standing on the pit lane at Road America, and thought he was clear of the car that he was passing and got over a little bit, got turned, hit another guy, and then those two cars just speared in the wall, which is basically where the Rolling Rock sign or the Rolling Stone sign is over there.
Yeah. So it's like 50 feet to our listeners.
Yeah. Maybe.
Not even that.
And they were going 100 and something, so by the time they hit the wall, stuff just flying over the wall and flying at us because we're just like calling the green flag, and we're like, green, 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 go, go, go. And he's like, I'm going.
Duck.
And then I look down.
Wheels are flying all over the place.
I look back, I'm like, oh, man, our car's sideways. Why is it
that's
now it's sideways. Ooh, no.
That's not going the direction you
That wall moved a lot.
Yeah.
He was fine.
He was fine. We had to replace the entire left front suspension before we could put it on the trailer.
It was jacked.
Oh, that story wasn't going where I thought you were like, the only way to do is replace
the left
before we put it on the trailer.
There's a little sway in that frame in the front.
Yeah.
That car is repaired and back together and almost like brand new condition.
Yep. That's the cool part.
Yeah.
I got to ask, was it front clip just to align the towers?
It bent the right front frame rail. They had to replace the frame rail. Everything else was pretty okay. So, cars are amazingly tough.
Yeah.
Tough little car.
They're so resilient.
The way that the factory built them, all the little roll cages in the 240s are all bolt-in. So if you add up total in a car, you can cut out the foot pads and put it into another car.
Yeah, the guys over in Spokane did that. They had a car get a really bad rollover last year at Sonoma and pulled it back to the shop, got a M235 street car and started taking parts off of it and put the cage in it and got it all turned into a race car, and it's M240. Yeah, and they got it up and running. And
I feel like this was a different color last week. Nope, get in the car.
No, it's fine.
It's always been this gray.
Yeah,
it wasn't white before.
It's totally. That crash really hurt your vision.
Yeah, but it was. That's no having done a repair like that. That's no small feat to get a car repaired.
Yeah, that was
in that kind of a way. So.
Yeah,
that's some of the things. I think that's what. I mean, when you look at NASCAR and all the race teams, is the fact that there are people that go out there and they have one car, they crash it, and by the next weekend, it's rebuilt.
So we are a team like that.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
I figured that, yeah. Stop crashing the cars, you won't have to be that team.
Well, we bought 3 last year as a kind of a package deal, and we ran 2, except for, 2 races. We ran 3 cars, and then this year we were only running 2. It just so happens we brought one of the cars, the spare car, to the race weekend, and in qualifying?
Yeah, qualifying, Chandler.
No, it was race 1.
No.
Either way.
Anyway, he 4-corner crashed the thing.
So we unloaded the other car out of the trailer.
Yeah, it was bad.
He stickered it.
At VIR, he was going into the lower S's and tried to straight line a big curb, and it just flung him right into the tires, and it just spun into the tires on itself.
A little too much bounce.
It was a lot. Yeah, everybody was like, oh, man, what happened? He just looks at it. He's like,
I took too much curb.
I was going full send.
I totally understand that. That happened to me once in Forza, so I get that. Yeah.
Totally, right?
Totally.
Nick's an expert.
Yeah.
Totally. You just reset. The guys fix it up for you.
I'm just like him, just sitting in my living room with my underwear. Totally different, though. Yeah.
And that was the car that we wrecked at Wisconsin the week, 2 weeks later or whatever. But we had a whole nother car. We had a whole front clip. We had all the suspension parts. When that car got wrecked at Wisconsin, basically that car that we took apart at Virginia got rebuilt, and that's the one we used for the rest of the year.
So you had to rebuild the car that was on the track, right? Or did you just swap it for the new?
Yes.
No, you had to take the parts.
The first time we fixed it, and the second time we had to swap it.
But you're allowed to swap it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has got to go through tech, and it's got to go through.
That was my question. The fact that some people, I know there are sometimes out there that say it has to be the same chassis.
If it happens in between a race, qualifying in a race, you start at the back. But
yeah,
that's the beauty of a homologated car.
Yep.
Is that it should show up and be
Yeah,
ready.
it meets a global standard, and it should be good.
You guys must have an impressive hammer and dolly set. Just saying.
Yeah, Porta Power. Porta Power's a
Porta
thing.
Power, yeah.
Yeah.
Body shop stuff.
We're going to chain it to the fence, and I want you to drive 15 miles an hour that way.
Oh,
I can't say that we
don't
haven't
even
done
think
that.
that's not happening.
Trucks.
Two trucks driving away from
Yeah,
each other.
absolutely.
Come-alongs and lifts,
Yeah.
posts.
Put a tree saver over there. What for? Just do it.
Just do it.
You can use a lift gate as an engine hoist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You learn something new every day.
If you get a car that's all bent up, you get a jack under the front, and you start hammering on the thing, and it'll all end up relaxing back
Pops.
anyways.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, we used to do the frame rail clamps on frame alignment tool.
Yep.
And you clamp it all along the frame, like 20 spots, not
Yeah.
like two,
Yeah.
like 20. And
Yep.
then the rack does all the movement because it knows where it goes. And you watch cars just change shape.
Yeah.
You're just like, then it all works. You're like, okay.
All right.
Insurance says it's fine. It's good. Okay.
Right.
Ship it.
Dan never needed a chiropractor then either. He just put
didn't.
himself
I
on the
just
rack and he'd
held
be
it
like,
on.
pull me
Click,
back.
Click.
Yeah. Click.
It's
Yeah.
better than the 4 horses we used to use.
Are you that old? Yeah. So, yeah. Nice.
All right, let's take our next break. We're a little overdue. We will be right back.
Grandpa, what do you call this thing again?
It's a 66 Ford Bronco.
I think you got ripped off.
Why is that, honey?
It's got no Wi-Fi, no USB port, no Bluetooth.
Exactly. I guess we'll just have to talk.
Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect.
Is that the window button?
It's called a window crank.
Cool. The faster I move it, the faster it goes down.
This moment of escape was created by Haggerty
Being old is kind of cool, Grandpa.
Works for me.
for people who love cars.
And we're back.
And we still agree Wonder Woman sucks. Yeah, okay.
that was the break our listeners mixed.
And some of the COVID crowd that was away from us agreed with me that going through 4 sets of rotors in the front is unusual. Okay.
No. Yeah,
Alignment issue.
something.
Something's
Specs on
not
the
right.
rotor. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's expensive either way you cut it.
Yeah. Can we interest you in a early 2000s BMW 3 Series?
Yeah.
I've had enough.
Or you can buy one for the cost of 2 rotors.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Be easier that way.
Yeah, we could build
Rotors
a whole
are
race
cheaper.
cars.
Yeah. That's the part that I'm like, you could build several race cars for that.
We have a customer has made that realization.
Yeah.
Yeah. He spent big bucks on a lot of stuff and spent a lot of money on some crash stuff and really, really, really loves his little E46.
Yeah.
He can drive the absolute bejesus out of it and not be scared.
As a past E46 owner, I loved it. It was great. It was a great car. So, and I had the X-Drive, so I could go really anywhere.
Oh,
So,
man.
yeah.
Bryce has one. We affectionately call it the Claw.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was in Arizona with friends, doing this thing.
That is funny, Dan. Okay, next subject.
We were talking about the joy of a cheap car, though.
Yeah.
And we were talking about because I tried to get everybody to go off road, which scared the crap out of them, and they just said no. But
One of those people that I know all those people that run that car, and I cannot believe they actually stopped you.
Right.
they did.
Honestly, if I was in a rental car and you said, let's go off-road,
Yeah.
I'm in.
My thought.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
if
you
we don't have to
understand.
call to get a new rental car delivered to us, we didn't do it right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we can jump this thing. What are you talking about?
I know all the people in that car, and they're really adventurous people. One of them, I really cannot believe she stopped you. But
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we were talking about how they're like, oh, all your cars are nice and stuff. I said, no, that's one of my favorite cars I ever had was the Land Cruiser because it was like you didn't know if it would make it, but you tried anyway because you were like, screw it. Like, can we get through those trees? Maybe. Nope. Back up.
Back it up. Go a little faster. See it again.
Yeah, exactly.
We were talking about the Land Cruiser on the way out here because Haggerty put the 97 Land Cruiser on
The
their
bull market.
right now.
Oh, yeah, there's a reason for that.
And don't worry, they
That's a
also
great
put
rig.
the original the 2003 GT and the new GT because those are going to go up in value.
Shocking.
So
Thanks,
More
Haggerty.
than they already have.
I had
What? And Volkswagen buses. Who knew?
right. So here's a funny thing. I had in high school. I had a SVO Mustang, one of those 2.3 turbo 4-cylinder
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, intercooled.
I paid $3,500 for it.
Ooh.
Our buddy sold one last year.
$3,800.
$3,800.
What?
Yeah,
I was like,
they're
what?
worth the same as they've always been.
exactly the
Like,
same. I was
which
like,
is crazy because it's a sweet little car.
Yeah, I know. They're great cars. I'm surprised they haven't gone up more.
Yeah.
right.
You
His
got to
was-
find yourself one of those vintage Taurus SHOs. Those
So
are what you want.
I have a thing for the 96, 7, and 8
I can talk
V8
about
ones.
those.
I want to buy one, cut the mufflers
What is
off.
it?
The 96, 7, or 8 with the little V8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's a
little-
Yamaha,
the stupid
Yamaha
oval.
So
quad
it's
cam.
the V6.
Yeah. Yamaha made the motors in those, and they're great motors.
I just want to cut the mufflers off and
Don't
use
they make pianos?
every on-ramp like I'm driving an offshore boat.
Yeah.
I think you just want an offshore boat.
Yeah. I can't afford it, so SHO is much cheaper.
You can, if you live in Florida and need to go to Cuba a couple of times. It'll pay for itself quickly.
You're right.
I think we all need to get together. And I was watching these guys in Idaho that have those small little jet boats that run off of jet skiing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in.
We can build those.
I'm in.
Like, yeah, that's what you need.
So little known fact. I worked on boats for 2 years.
What for?
Yachts.
Oh, okay.
Servicing and managing.
Okay, yeah.
Buddy I went to high school with got into that. His dad was into it after being a pilot.
We've all seen the movie Overboard. We get it.
Yeah. Good news. I swim great.
So did Goldie Hawn. Boats and hose. Okay.
I sent that text a lot when I was working on boats.
Boats and hose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a little lady dancing in a boat.
Yeah, that and Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bound.
Yeah, when we went to Catalina on a boat, that was a big joke.
Damn Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah, I serviced one down in San Diego, which was awesome because it was in Coronado Harbor. So when we were down there, we'd just stay on the boat for a week or two and work on it. It was super, super rough. And then, so we had to get it back up to Seattle. So the only way to bring a boat that size up to 65-foot deal. So
Yeah.
Point it north.
Point it north and 8 knots and let's go.
Yeah.
So we drove out to Catalina. There was a submarine coming into San Diego on the way out, which was super cool seeing. I got seasick about the first hour in, which was pretty impressive because it was as calm as the ocean could ever be.
I'm on this giant moving house that's not moving.
So I got over that, and we made it out to Catalina and had an awesome time, and then we went to Ventura the next night and then up to Sausalito the next day.
Is Catalina the one with the buffalo? Does Catalina have buffalo?
Oh, well, yeah, I think
There's
so.
some island. I had an ex that got
island
run over
in
by a buffalo on
California.
one of those islands, and I was rooting for the buffalo, but so okay, never mind.
Weird stuff you find.
Yeah, but that was a fun experience. I learned a lot of stuff working on boats that has since translated really well into prepping race cars. Because
Dual engines, twin props.
Yeah, boy, if I could, holy cow, that'll get you home.
Hot Wheels now, twin screw. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
You don't ever want to go out with just one engine.
Yeah,
but no, just the level of intensity on if something goes bad while somebody's out in the ocean, it's going to go really bad.
Yeah,
and the same thing applies in a race car.
Yeah,
because you're literally finding the limit of whatever this thing can do all the time, and if it goes bad.
But if it goes bad on the racetrack, I get to get out of the car and walk away from the car.
If you're lucky.
If it goes bad out in the ocean, I don't get to walk.
Right. I've seen people not get to walk out of the race cars too.
Ooh, that's a rough time.
Yeah, it gets real super fast. Yeah.
Did you guys grow up here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I didn't ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were born and bred Seattleites.
Nice.
We grew up in Des Moines and moved to Burien when we were 6 or 7 and been there ever since. So.
Nice. I mean, it's just such a small car community, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your first job? Were you guys always in like the car industry, automotive industry?
Yeah, basically.
Somebody had to have been in
first
air
job-
conditioning repair.
My first job out of college was at Strictly, and then we went to South Lake European where we started that from zero.
Yeah.
And then did that for, I guess, 5 years. And then I went to the aerospace industry when he went to the boat world.
Oh, okay.
So I spent a year in aerospace fabrication and wiring and test things, and which was super fun.
Yeah. Again, another thing that translates really well into building race cars.
Yeah.
Having just aircraft grade wiring in your car it doesn't fail.
It's the off-road world. We see that, I think, more the hack jobs of wiring.
Yeah.
How many things can I stack on this battery post?
Oh, the answer is 4.
Yeah, the answer is 4. Then you need another post.
Then you need another post.
Carl may be honest. Just Carl, who's the gentleman we interviewed that had the Porsches, that rebuilt the Porsches, that we went to his house to see? He meticulously rebuilt these cars, and like he was talking about doing the getting the right color zip ties, and I mean everything was. And I was just looking at it going, geez.
And then you got to fold all the zip ties so the zip tie part
is
towards the
this
center.
This is a pro
of
tip we
gravity.
got from David Wheaton one time was anytime you're doing zip ties is first of all use flush cut cutters. Because the next person that's going to reach past that thing is going to shred himself on the zip tie otherwise. The flip side of that is that the zip tie is the little nub on the zip tie is weight, right?
Yeah.
So you roll it to the center
and down.
So everything is focused towards the center of the car.
I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
I mean,
when you're working on a formula car like he used to, that was 900 pounds. If you got 6 pounds of zip ties in it, there's almost 1% of your weight.
Oddly makes sense.
When he was going this, and we're going to have to look up the name, but he had to commission the zip ties to be built again in this certain color. Like it was just insane.
Yeah.
So
they're blue or white or yellow.
No, this was like this off-white kind of.
Yeah, heavy restorations. The level of detail that goes into that stuff is awesome.
But I like that. And the fact, but I mean, but that's not only with the restoration, but the car was built that way from Porsche. You're talking about
right
unsprung weight or whatever.
All the BMWs, like around the ignition harness area, there's one blue zip tie. Everything else is black.
In the whole car.
One blue zip tie.
What's the story with the blue?
I have no idea.
Matches the badge.
Yeah.
There's one white one in there too.
Right.
But it's the only blue zip tie in the whole car.
That
so
company,
funny.
British Motor Works, that's what BMW stands for. A lot of people don't know that. It's a German car company, but it's British. Yeah,
that's when Mini bought them, right?
Duh.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely.
They're going way back. That was like in our single digit or double digits. Not even.
They bought that in 2002.
Rob Skeevy, yeah.
Yep, Rob Skeevy.
So, where would you like to go with this? What's the goal? Where would you like to race? What would you like to build? In case anybody's just sitting out there with maybe new money or something.
We were talking about a dude doing like a Formula D car the other day.
Okay.
Like, honestly, the Formula D cars are the coolest race cars that never actually get to go racing.
As a creative artist type situation, a full out drift car would be something we'd really love to build because
You see some insane stuff.
there's no rules.
I love it.
And you can just get creative and crazy, and the thing's going to have 800 horsepower at some point.
Is it Monster that turned a Murcielago into a drift car?
Yeah, they did that.
Yeah, that's cool. It's like we have so much money. Let's do this.
Right?
Yeah.
If we could scale properly, getting into prototype racing is really something that I would love to do. But it's a huge commitment in resources and space, and
they wouldn't fit in the new trailer we
yeah,
bought.
right.
All this other stuff.
Sounds like poor planning on your part.
Well, yeah, that's how we ended up with our new trailers, because the guys that owned it ended up with these cars.
Yeah, they bought some
get them in the trailer.
GT4 cars that they couldn't get the spoilers over the tailgate, so we had to upgrade rigs. So
Okay.
We were able to buy his RV from him. And,
That's nice of him to do that.
Yeah.
So
now we have our own RV to move stuff around in.
That's nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Air quotes RV.
Air quotes RV. Yeah. Recreational vehicle.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, if somebody wants to start their career or has a car that they're thinking about, how do they reach out to you? Where do they find you?
You can reach out to us always on the internet. Email comes to Bryce. It comes to me. It also comes to our other partner, Gamma. He's our property owner and
facilitator.
He started off as a customer and became an enabler, and now we're like,
that happens.
Oh, you're a great guy.
Yeah, no, he's awesome.
Right.
Like we love him. So
actually, we were going down to hang out with David at he'd got his car working for some drift thing at Portland, and it immediately blew up. So we
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we basically went all the way down there and wasted a bunch of day. But in turn, we met this guy Gamma, and that was 6 years ago now. Something like that.
Something like that.
It's amazing how quickly you make friends that are lifetime friends in this industry. Yeah.
Ever since.
So. Where is the shop?
We're I'm trying to map in my head here. I'm just west of Maple Valley. So we're like Petrovisky 196 intersection.
Sure. Okay.
Just west of, kind of between Fairwood and Maple Valley.
Nice. And they can find you guys on the internet,
yep.
on the interwebs.
On the interwebs.
Yeah.
We got a telephone number that nobody usually answers. So
right, it just rings in the back while we're doing stuff. Oh crap, we missed the phone.
Yeah, there's two of us that work there, so we're either on the car or on the road, and email is always the best way to get a hold of somebody.
Just raceronrails.com.
Raceronrails.com, raceronrails@gmail, and then the phone number is
Instagram's good.
Yeah,
you monitor all this stuff.
You're on the gram.
Yeah, pretty much everything but the phone.
Gotcha.
Who uses the phone now?
Nobody.
Just assume it's spam when it rings.
Yeah, we have to leave it plugged in. It's an iPhone, and it's so older. If you leave it unplugged, the battery just
dies. Yeah. I've had one of those. I don't think there's much going on. Is there much going on in the Avance world right now?
No. Still, Avance events are still on hold due to COVID. Hopefully that opens back up soon. But it's more active than ever online.
I'm ready for more track days.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take people.
I want some of those
rides on my little
off-road days. Got to add some weight to my car.
I'm ready for an off-road day. I'd love to go
Absolutely.
out and
We got to get out there and force next time there's an off-road day when that happens. Like I said, they've been super active online. It's been cool to see how the community has kind of worked through this. People are starting to ask more broad questions. I had a really good one the other day. You remember Deruve? He had a GTR guy. He's the one who gave us the T-Mobile demo hotspot to try out.
No, because you didn't share that with me so I could try
I had to give it back. Anyway, we have a good friend, Deruve. He's with Microsoft now, actually.
Yeah.
But so he got a new place in Kirkland, and he's got those frosted glass doors on his garage. Well,
okay.
Well, right now, it's an interesting problem, but I'm going to bring it up because it was a cool thing. Until he mentioned it, I never would have thought of it. Right now, because it's so cold and wet, as usual, all those things are getting a ton of humidity and moisture in there. And it turns out the garage, he's got garage coating on the floor. So normally your cement will actually absorb quite a bit of that, but it's just like sucking moisture into that garage. It's just like a sauna every time he pulls his car in there. So going through the process of actually adding a dehumidifier to the garage. But it was a really cool topic to bring up. He brought up an Avance. Turns out an Avance member happens to be, guess what? A garage door installer. And so the guy walks him through. He's like, hey, look for these seals between your doors. Everybody constantly misses installing these. He's like, look for the seals on the edges to make sure. He's like, but then from there, you're probably going to need a dehumidifier anyway. But it was cool to see such a good response of such a simple question, which is one of those things that if a pretty common install in houses around here. It's an odd thing, but it's cool that a group like that exists that doesn't give you some like, well, yeah, spend more money answers. Like, well, check these things first.
Did you check for leaks?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see if you had coolant in your Maserati? Right. Yeah, those guys. Yeah.
You know, simple stuff.
Yeah, but he was like, hey, if you have, but if you run anything, let me know. I'll come out and take a look at it. So just cool to have the community that's so supportive in that way.
That's the one thing that we've noticed kind of on the outside looking in for Avance is it's just.
Why are you on the outside looking in?
Actually, there's not a lot of racers in Avance.
Right.
We try and hook people up when we can, but there's just not a lot of those.
Speaking of Avance, and I want to say this because we got a shout out about it, but a new member, Garrick Solberg, who's a new member who heard from this awesome podcast called Rain City Supercars about it, and so he signed up. But
thanks for listening, Eric. Thanks for mentioning us as you joined up. Yeah, if you are joining at Avance and you're hearing it on the show, let Adam know that you heard it from us, and give us a like on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us. We are on every podcast platform that I know of so far. So if we find one you listen to that we're not on, let me know, and I'll fix that.
Yeah, and then Dan will go and argue with them for months because they suck wherever they are.
Yeah, thanks, Pandora.
Yeah. Right.
And Spotify.
Like, I don't know. We've done events with Avance out of the
Why don't you just call them out by name, Dan? Jeez. Sound like John Mulaney. I have this airline I hate. We'll call him Delta. Exactly.
That was a good sketch from him.
Guys, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
I really appreciate it. Obviously it's good to drink beers with you and get to know you, but I look forward to seeing you in the future and working with you.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to share what we do and love. So
yeah.
Sounds like a good time. Yeah, our listeners, if you want to get a hold of Bryce and Jordan, it's raceronrails.com. Shoot them a message from there. That's probably the best way to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Or they're on Instagram.
Yeah,
or Instagram. Yeah.
And you don't have to be a pro racer to reach out.
Right.
No.
Like
they'll make you a pro racer. 100% guaranteed.
Jump car, honestly, that's the attitude that we have is if you want to do this, then go ahead and do it. Yeah. And we will help you do that. So
they will provide the cliff you can jump off at the bottom of the pit.
Oh, yeah.
You'd think there'd be money at the bottom, but there's not because you're a race car driver.
No, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
But you'll have a great time doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for this episode of RCS, I'm Nick.
I'm Dan, and don't just get there. Enjoy the drive.